carry the load again. The Huskers aren't executing very well offensively. We'll talk Big 12 and a lot more from Big 10 country. It'll be an emotional day. Husker fans paying tribute to number 15. They are retiring Tommy Frazier's number before the game. Frazier says he hasn't ruled out a comeback, but for now, he has stooped to the world of football analysis on the Nebraska radio broadcast. Huskers trying to make it 27 in a row in the conference. Tom Osborne not happy about the execution. All those penalties and fumbles last week.
Well, Terrell Farley is Nebraska's big play defensive star. Remember an important point. He did not play in the loss versus Arizona State. Nebraska wins big over Kansas today.
Coach, two players in the middle that are having really great years, helping the Husker defense to be one of the best. Inside linebacker John Hess, and also defensive tackle Jeff Ogard. He's standing at 6'6", 310. Look for the Huskers to shut out the Jayhawks today.
Sellout here in Lincoln. Can KU pull the upset? We'll find out shortly. In the national championship hunt. And of course, the last couple of seasons, they didn't lose a game with Tommy Frazier at quarterback, but there's been a changing of the guard. For more on that story, we get to the field and Lisa Molosky. Lisa.
Thanks a lot, Drew. Tommy Frazier, arguably the greatest option quarterback to ever play at Nebraska, led the Cornhuskers to 2 straight national titles and a perfect 25-0 record. In honor of his contributions to Nebraska football, his jersey, number 15, was retired just moments ago. Frazier, hugely popular, not only here in Lincoln, but throughout the state of Nebraska, which makes things a little more complicated for his replacement, junior quarterback Scott Frost. He's a native of Nebraska, but he's been under heavy scrutiny by the Nebraska faithful. Coach Tom Osborne says Frost is a good quarterback. He supports him. He says people should lay off a little bit, give him some breathing room and some time to improve. Drew, Dave?
All right, Lisa, thank you very much. Tom Osborne very much in his corner. He says he's a terrific athlete. The Southwest Airlines must tonight for the Cornhuskers.
Well, they want to bring it early, Drew. They want to get the crowd into this football game and break Kansas' spirit. They don't want to self-destruct like they did last week with 5 giveaways offensively and a solid kicking game. They've blocked 2 punts. They've returned 2 for touchdowns. They want to keep that up.
And Glenn Mason, what a job he has done now in his 9th year in Lawrence, Kansas. The must for KU.
Well, they want to turn the June Henley crisis into opportunity. The rest of the team has to step up. Eric Van, the offensive line, everybody. Defrost, Scott. Make them win the game. Make them throw the football. Hold on to the football when running the option. And they want to get into a consistent rhythm offensively. No tackles for loss to get off schedule. Can't do that.
Again, it is really blowing from the southwest. Nebraska won the toss. They elected to kick off, and they will defend the south goal here in Lincoln at Memorial Stadium. The temperature is not a problem. It's actually very pleasant out. The wind is the problem. Gusts up to 50 miles an hour, and it will remain windy, at least according to the forecast.
You got to hold it. You got to hold her on the kickoff, Drew. That's how windy it is.
Michael Chandler and Eric Van back deep, and this one will sail through the end zone, and KU will start with it at the 20-yard line. Their quarterback is Matt Johnner. He's a junior from Costa Mesa, California. He's been up and down this year throwing the football, but he hasn't turned it over much. 9 touchdowns in the air, only 3 interceptions. He originally was the backup coming out of the spring to Ben Roots, who will play some today. Ben Roots started his career at the University of Nebraska. So here we go. Kansas with the football, 1st and 10 at the 20. The single setback is Galbraith. He has the football, and he's going to lose 6. It is nearly impossible to run against Nebraska. Jason Peter and John Hess in there defensively. Here are the skill guys for Kansas. There's Isaac Bird. He is a terrific wideout and also an outstanding return man. If you're Nebraska, you pay close attention to number 1. Stiebel began his career as well at Nebraska. He moves over from a guard spot to his natural position this week, that of center. 2nd down and 16 as Kansas goes backwards on 1st. And this is up in the air off the fingertips of the intended target, John Gordon. So it'll bring up 3rd and 16. Let's check the defensive alignment for the Cornhuskers. Maybe the best defense in the country, and these 2 ends are outstanding. Tomich and Wistrom. Peters also playing exceptionally well. The linebackers, they run like their cornerbacks. Farley and Williams just flat out fly. And the secondary has a true freshman, Ralph Brown, the first true freshman to start the opener at Nebraska since World War II. Kansas says they want to try to pick on him. 3rd and 16. Johnner under pressure. Will be sacked from behind. It's Tomic who came free. And Kansas goes backwards 15 yards on their opening possession.
As we talked about, a must for Kansas was to establish offensive rhythm. There was none established there. They were thrown off schedule on 1st down, a 6-yard loss, running the counter. And this time there's an assignment mistake up front. The line doesn't slide to pick up Tomic, and he detonates Johnner. I mean, unblocked. Tomic, you got to put a helmet on him. Brain cramp in the first series in pass protection for Kansas.
The punter is Dean Royal, and he shanks it. And the ball's loose on the ground. Kansas is going to get it. D'Angelo Evans tried to field it, and he lost the football, and Kansas gets an enormous break. They came in plus 12 in turnover ratio, make it plus 13.
That's number 1 in the conference, number 2 in the country. Now, was the 5 yards given there in order for him to field the punt? I think it was Michael Chandler that was close in coverage. You have to have 5 yards separation to field the punt. D'Angelo Evans really didn't have 5 yards, but he muffed it on his own. It was not due to any physical contact interference by Kansas, but it did look like he was in that 5-yard neutral area.
And that actually was Octavius McFarland. There's 2 number 4s. D'Angelo Evans on offense, McFarland on defense. Short carry. John Hess makes the tackle. We go downstairs to Lisa Miloski.
Well, a quick note here, Drew. Coach Tom Osborne told us yesterday that the key for the Nebraska Cornhuskers was, first and foremost, take care of the ball. Made a mistake early. Back to you guys.
All right, Lisa, pick up a 4 on 1st down out at the 37-yard line. Van gets the call again, breaks a tackle, uses his speed to get a couple of yards. He is more of a speed back than June Henley, as Minter knocked him out of bounds with help from Michael Booker. He has a lot of talent. I think people looking in tonight, they were saying, oh boy, Kansas, what kind of shot do they have without June Henley? And of course, it's a blow to their offense, but Van can get it done.
He can. He's one of those short, squatty backs, 5'7", 5'8", over 200 pounds. Tremendous shiftiness, low center of gravity. The offensive line has to give him some room to operate, though. John Hess, every time an offensive lineman pulls, he's shooting the gap and running it down from behind. This Nebraska defense is so active, they can all run.
Out of the gun on 3rd and 5. Johnner will run it, and he'll get stopped well short of a 1st down. Hess and Wistrom combined to bring him down, and with that pass rush from Nebraska, you will get happy feet.
Oh yeah, you will. That almost looked like it was a quarterback draw. He decided to tuck it and run so quickly. Instead of looking at the secondary, he was looking for a crease in the defensive front 4 pass rush to take advantage of with his feet. Now this will help Kansas. A big key for them is field position. They didn't have it until Nebraska fumbled the 1st punt. The 2nd punt will give their defense better field position.
Dean Royal, this is marginally better, and this time Octavius McFarland fields it at the 29-yard line. So Nebraska's defense stops Kansas twice, 3 and out, and they'll touch the football for the first time. Scott Frost from about 90 miles to the west of here, Wood River, Nebraska, a high school All-American who decided that he wanted to go out to Stanford and play for Bill Walsh initially. That's what he did, but he came back home, and as Lisa addressed off the top, he has been heavily scrutinized despite the Cornhuskers' 5-1 record. And of course that comes when you lose a game in Nebraska. That happens about once a decade, it seems. Here's the handoff, and straight ahead goes Amon Green, or off tackle, and he'll get a few. Let's check the skill people for the always deep Nebraska Cornhuskers. You'll see Amon Green, you'll see Damon Benning, you'll see D'Angelo Evans. Green is the fastest player on the Cornhusker roster, and up front, averaging typically about 300 pounds, Aaron Taylor, 2-time all-conference player. We'll see him at center, might even see him at guard tonight on both sides. He's extremely versatile. 2nd and 6, Amon Green, and meeting him in the hole was Ronnie Wood. He stepped up and made the stop for a minimal gain. Kansas, in terms of statistics on defense, it doesn't stand out. but they're not a bad bunch. McGraw on the nose tackle has played well, and the linebacker crew is led by Ronnie Ward, who's had 38 tackles in the last 2 weeks against Colorado and Texas Tech. Blevins, a free safety, very good. Gaddy is very steady, the strong safety. It's 3rd down and 5 for the Huskers. Frost throwing, and it is incomplete. They tried to get it to Vedral, number 25. Jamie Harris, the coverage, and Nebraska will have to punt.
Well, one thing that Kansas felt they could stand up to it inside against Nebraska Cornhuskers. This time Frost tries to get to the perimeter, but the pressure was good enough that he could not set his feet and throw the football off his back foot. Mechanics were poor there due to the pursuit and the pressure from the Kansas Jayhawks inside out.
This is a very important element in tonight's game. It is in every game, kicking game. 10 men up for Kansas. That is a dangerous man in Isaac Bird, and Cush hammers a great punt. Bird, fair catch, 20-yard line. Jesse Cush, 10th in the nation in punting. Great hang time. And a punt of 46, a net of 46.
And hang inside in pass protection from guard to guard against Nebraska. They certainly did there, gave him a great pocket. They lost track of Galbraith out of the backfield. The nephew of Tony Galbraith, a great running back at Missouri who had a nice NFL career.
And Dave, I know you played against him. He was a great receiver out of the backfield, one of the all-time receivers out of the backfield. And I guess his nephew has pretty good hands also.
Soft hands, yeah.
Van straight ahead, and actually they had come up short on 1st down. I thought they had gotten 11. They got about 9.5. Flags come in as Van is dropped after a 2-yard gain. It would be enough for a 1st down, but Terry Turlington will sort things out for us.
Yeah, there's a flag. I don't know if there's a false start.
The offense, 5-yard penalty, no play, still 2nd down.
They didn't blow it dead, and I thought they should have blown that thing dead earlier than they did. They let the play unfold. Normally, as you can see in the very top of the screen, receiver flinching before the snap of the football, feigning the start of a play before the snap of the football. That's a no-no.
Johnner looking to the sideline for the play. 9:57 to go, opening quarter, no score. Kansas has actually had it twice after a muffed punt. Nebraska once, and both teams still without a 1st down.
Glenn Mason trying to figure out what the heck is going wrong with his offense. Now the offensive linemen know who to block. They're just not getting it done technique-wise.
Johnner, time breaking down. He loses the football. Is that a fumble?
Incomplete.
Now they're ruling it incomplete. Jason Peter got there. Jason Peter, the younger brother of Christian Peter, who made some All-American teams last year.
Got an injury for the Cornhuskers.
Yeah, it's Mike Foreman.
Yeah.
He's had a bad groin. He's been battling that injury, Dave, for the better part of a year.
Yeah, he had a hip flexor problem that turned into a groin. It started in his pelvic area, and then it turned. Now he's grabbing that right ankle, and he's touching that outside. Looks like a high ankle sprain possibly for Foreman. Boy, I tell you, it's the hip flexor, then the groin, then the ankle. He's got more problems than a run-over dog right now.
I'd say so.
Man. And you can see as the offensive lineman lunges to recover that football to make a play on it, Cleve Roberts, Foreman gets his right ankle caught up underneath there. Take a look up front. Offensive line, decent protection initially, and then it breaks down, and man, Johnner just gets drilled. That's the amazing thing about Nebraska. Even the defensive linemen have great closing speed. Is Foreman not able to get off the field under his own power? That's not a good sign at all. Not putting any weight on that right ankle at all.
3rd down and 5. A manageable distance for KU, considering teams against Nebraska this year average better than 8 yards to go on 3rd down. They'll roll the pocket, pressure coming. Johnner has it away. 1st down to Hosea Friday, out of bounds at the 41. He's the more receiver type of the tight ends. He goes about 250. They have 2 pretty good tight ends in Moore and Friday.
Yeah, Friday, Charlie McBride thinks that he'll play at the next level. Great receiver. Farley unblocked on the backside. He can run probably 500 meters. That's the thing about these linebackers. They run like defensive backs. They run 10.3 to 10.5 100-meter dashes. They can fly around the football field.
They give to the up back, Galbraith, and he stood up in the hole. He meets Jason Peter. Also, number 98 in there is Grant Wistrom. Ogard, 97, who's 6'6" and 310.
Wistrom got knocked down by the fullback on the play prior to that. Johnner had a great completion for a first down, and that's what Kansas is going to try to do. On the defensive ends, they're going to change it up. They're going to try to pin him into the inside with a tight end. They're going to chop him to the ground with the fullback. The play before, Wistrom was chopped right to the ground by the fullback very effectively.
2nd and 9. Bird goes to the top. Johnner changing the play. Galbraith, the lone setback. Here comes the counter. They just react so well in red. The black shirts. It's a 2-yard loss. Eric Stokes and Terrell Farley there. Mike Minner also in the neighborhood.
They swarm like bees. There were 10 red jerseys around the football when the play was finalized. Looks good right here. Got a lineman out in front throwing a block. Look at the inside-out pursuit. Wistrom, then boom. There's red jerseys everywhere. 10 defensive players within 3 yards of the football when the back was on the ground. That is incredible. They pepper you and pepper you to death, wear you down. They're in such great physical condition, and they're relentless. Now, Tomich, every single snap, Tomich says, thank you for the opportunity to play here at Nebraska.
Look at those defensive rankings. They're also among the top 5 in college football, never mind just the Big 12.
You know, another stat, 1.7 yards per rush they're allowing. 1.7. That is minuscule. I mean, it's just incredible number.
And they also have 33 sacks coming in. 8:05 to go first quarter. No score right now. Nebraska and Kansas in Lincoln. Football is brought to you by Dr. Pepper and your local Dr. Pepper bottler. And Lincoln, Nebraska, no score between Kansas and the Cornhuskers with Dave Lapham and Lisa Molosky. I'm Drew Goodman. It's 3rd and 11 for the Jayhawks. They come out in a spread formation. Pressure coming. Johnner's going to be sacked again. He has no time. This time it's Grant Wistrom, his 7th plus sack of the year, 7.5.
That's right. Tomich and Wistrom already with a quarterback sack apiece, giving them 35 on the season. Nebraska's offensive line has only given up 6 sacks, almost a 30-sack differential. That's huge field position swing right there. And you notice 3rd and 11 for Kansas, off schedule again, no rhythm.
Chevin Wiggins is in the middle. This is a good punt by Royal. Wiggins at his own 23 trying to get to the wall. And he will not get there. He's brought down by Luke Richardson on special teams, and a flag comes in. Punt of 41 yards by Royal. Golden Pat Rule, the offensive coordinator for Kansas, is down there on a knee talking to his offensive unit. He said, we needed to get healthy. He said, this is about the last place you want to come and get healthy.
Oh, it really is. I mean, they are so tough to run the football against. Kansas has run the ball on first down 3 times for -2 yards, Drew, and they've been knocked off schedule every time they've had the ball.
Just the 2nd time for Nebraska. Mon Green on the toss. Not a whole lot doing there. Gets a couple of yards. Pat Rule's been around the Jayhawk program for a while. He's been at 6 different schools as an offensive coordinator, well respected. Said if there's a cigarette out there, their defense is jaws. We better have a big harpoon if we're going to have a chance. You know what? I think every coach on Glenn Mason's staff is similar in personality almost to Mason. Funny guys.
They could all go on Leno or Letterman. They could do a nice little stand-up routine, the whole coaching staff. It'd be awesome.
Here's the option look. Frost to Green. They get the corner knocked down. First down for Amon. Load option to the 34-yard line. And that was a typical Nebraska option play.
Well, Nebraska will run the option out of 10 different offensive sets. And the key for Nebraska, watch the block up top. Vedral working down the football field. The fullback or the lead back gets the linebacker down. Vedral working down the football field at the secondary level. Kansas wanted to make Frost hold on to the football in the option, make him win, beat them running the football. That time he was able to get it to his pitch man, Amon Green, who has blazing speed.
Kansas confuses Scott Frost. Frost takes a look at the defense in his pre-snap read and calls a timeout. So he'll visit with Turner Gill and Tom Osborne on the sideline. Still no score. And we get an update on a Nebraska injury from Lisa Milosky. Lisa.
Thanks, Drew. Defensive back Mike Fullman bruised the side of his right ankle. They retaped it. He was running along the sideline. It appears as though he'll be right back in there when they need him. Drew, Dave?
Well, that's certainly good news. We talked to Tom Osborne yesterday about his much maligned offense, and here's what he had to say.
Offensively, I think we've been good and bad. We've had 3 or 4 very good offensive football games, hardly any turnovers, excellent production. And then we've had a couple that weren't very good, and so that's been a little bit puzzling. And yet, I guess if you know much about athletics, you realize that nothing's perfect all the time.
Tom Osborne yesterday. The amazing thing is Nebraska's averaging 415 yards a game in total offense. There aren't too many coaches in the country that wouldn't take that kind of production.
No, and almost almost 40 points a game, scoring. They're incredible offensively. They've won 10 rushing titles under Coach Osborne. Now they've won 12 altogether. They won a couple under Coach Devaney, but this is unbelievable. The pipeline up front is the key to it, and look what they do for the I-backs. I mean, they've for over 1,000 yards combined and averaging over 6 yards a pop combined, 13 touchdowns. That's big time.
2 tight end formation. They'll fake to
got him.
A bunch. All alone is Vershawn Jackson. And Vershawn will get it to the 24-yard line of Kansas. Good throw from Scott Frost. Vershawn Jackson, the junior from Omaha.
Well, little play action pass. There's Jackson right there. He's the intended, or he is the target. Little play action. Look at the Kansas linebackers bite.
Amon Green gets to the 20-yard line, a pickup about 5 on that play. Let's take a look again at the big strike on the play action.
Well, the linebackers all sucked up on the play action. Jackson gets a clean release, and it's off to the races. Frost does a nice job of just laying it out there. Tight end not rerouted off the line of scrimmage whatsoever, and they had to respect the fake to Amon Green. All the linebackers dove toward the line of scrimmage. Huge cavity to take advantage of.
Vershawn with 4 receptions this year. 2 have been touchdowns. They go out of the ace-back formation. Here's the counter. Amon Green slipping inside, gets a couple before he's dropped by Ronnie Ward and also number 70, the nose tackle, Brett McGraw.
Well, the key to this football game, Kansas is loading up the box. They've got 8 and 9 people between the tackles. That time they ran the counter. Nebraska trying to combat that by bringing some left side offensive linemen over to the right side to even the numbers up. Still an unblocked player. The running back has to make the unblocked safety miss, and that time Green did pretty well.
Makovica and Amon Green on 3rd down and 3 in the eye.
Audible.
With hand signals, they'll go toss sweep. Green trying to cut it back, and he makes a nice little move for a 1st down. Just a subtle plant. Got him enough for the 1st down. There were a lot of white jerseys in the neighborhood, but Green, I think, got the necessary yardage.
Makovica is key in this play. Watch number 45, the lead fullback, get his block. Does a nice job. That's a knockdown. That's a great knockdown right there. He took the linebacker to the turf. Steve Bratton went down. Not only offensive linemen have knockdowns, the backs, the wide receivers, everybody on this team knocks people to the ground.
They give to Makovica, and he'll barrel inside the 10 to the 9-yard line. Doesn't look pretty, but it got 5 yards.
Well, reward the guy. You throw a nice lead block and give him the football. You throw him a bone for a job well done. Let the big dog eat a little bit, But when Nebraska's on 8 cylinders, Drew, if they have 75, 80 snaps in a football game, they'll have 120 knockdowns. They'll get 60 out of the offensive line. They'll get 30 out of the running backs, and they'll get 30 out of the wide receivers. They take great pride in finishing blocks and taking people to the turf.
They count all those pancakes.
They do. I'll tell you what, it's the international house out here.
Amon Green picking his spot, and he runs into a backer. That was a fine play that time by Steve Bratton, who was pancaked a moment ago, and this time he pancakes Amon Green. So it'll bring up a 3rd down and about 4.
And Bratton playing in place of Jason Thorin, who is a great inside linebacker for this football team. Ronnie Ward, Jason Thorin, tough inside. Thorin is dressed out, will play only in an emergency. Bratton has to step up, and it's the true definition of a team. You know, when one steps down, when one sits down, you get your opportunity and you have to perform.
Nebraska success rate on 3rd down 45% this year, which is a good figure. Frost will try to throw for it. Looking end zone, touchdown Nebraska. It's Sheldon Jackson.
It's a law firm, Jackson and Jackson. I'll tell you what, it's set up the big play to Vershawn Jackson, touchdown to Sheldon Jackson, utilizing the tight ends in the passing attack off play action exceptionally well. Take a look at what Scott Frost does. You know, once you get the running game established, everything else falls into place for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Excellent job of play action, getting the big tight end involved.
And by the way, he is no relation to Vershawn, though they do play the same position. Chris Brown, extra point, is right there. So Nebraska leads it 7-0, and this was a great throw from Frost, Dave.
Very accurate throw. He was patient too. That was the key. Little misdirection. Guard pulls to the left. Frost rolls to the right. Sets his feet. That's the key. Throws off the back foot. Great mechanics right there. He knew as soon as he let the football go, it was a touchdown. That's a tremendous amount of confidence by a young quarterback. The first pass of the game that he threw, because of pressure and lack of patience by him, his mechanics weren't there, and he threw an incompletion. That time, he made an adjustment, corrected things, threw a touchdown. This guy's got great physical talent.
For more on that man, we go down again to Lisa Milosky. Lisa.
Thanks, guys. Just a little bit more on Scott Frost. Coach Tom Osborne told us that early on, Scott was worried too much about making mistakes. Seems to have corrected things, especially in the last 4 games or so. Back to you guys.
Yeah, you know, Tommy Frazier was talking about that, and he said the first 5 games his freshman year, he was so afraid of making the big mistake he was tentative out there. Scott Frost fell into that category, and now he's not so concerned about making the mistake. He's just letting the offense flow and come to him, and major difference in his performance, no question.
Brown will kick it deep, and he hammers this one again. This also will hit about 7 yards deep and go through. So Kansas, trailing 7-0, will have it at the 20-yard line. Another quick footnote about Scott Frost. They test you, and you spent time in the weight room with Boyd Epley, who's legendary in strength circles in college football.
He certainly is.
Scott Frost is the strongest, most agile athlete they've ever had at quarterback in terms of speed, strength, and agility. All the tests they run, that guy's #1. Better than Tommy Frazier, better than Turner Gill, his position coach.
He won the state title in the shot put his senior year in high school. Runner-up was his right tackle, Eric Anderson. He put the shot over 58 feet. That's big time.
Van, a little bit of room, maybe to the 24-yard line. Boy, it is near impossible to run between the tackles against Nebraska. Eric Warfield came up from a safety spot and made a play for the Huskers. 2nd down and 6, and if you're Kansas, you'll take that kind of play.
Oh yeah, you got to get a positive gain on 1st down, stay on schedule. You know, this Nebraska team, we said, giving up 1.7 a rush, only 1 touchdown rushing. That was in the 4th quarter of the first game. They've gone 20 quarters without giving up a rushing touchdown.
Galbraith will take the football, and he is hit almost immediately by Peter Lowe. And then up high by Ogard. Terrell Farley's also there. Pickup of just 1, and it's 3rd and 5.
Jason Peter has a broken hand. He's got a cast on that right hand. He broke it in last week's football game. And you can see in that right hand, he's casted up, and he's got that cast padded. He's not going to miss any football. Broken hand, that's not going to keep him out. Look at that club now. The officials look at it and they say you can't use it as a weapon. It's got to be padded up properly so nobody can get hurt. So he has to get in a left-handed stance. The left hand down. He's a right-handed guy. Can't use that right hand.
Pressure coming underneath the bird. Not enough for a 1st down. Farley grabbed him immediately on the slant route. Kansas 2 yards shy. They'll have to punt it back to Nebraska.
This defensive football team, Drew, in my opinion, this is the 2nd time I've seen them They are the most athletic, fast, quick defensive football team I've ever seen in college football. And you know what? The one-back set made Charlie McBride make his move. You know, the one-back set changed college football about as much as the option did, because Charlie McBride was going down there to those bowl games and Coach Osborne against Miami, Florida State, people like that. They went to the 4-3 defense. Instead of the 5-2, went to the 4-3. And as we talked about, those linebackers are oversized defensive backs. So you don't have to make substitutions in the nickel. You can put those linebackers on wide receivers in coverage, and people try to run at them. They can't get it done because these guys will hit you. They'll strike you. They've got speed. They basically run a nickel or a dime every snap. They almost have 6 defensive backs on the field every single defensive play.
It is frightening how fast they are.
Oh, it's incredible.
They did steal a page from the Florida schools.
Right. You can't, you know what, you look at some plays. I mean, I've watched some plays tonight look like they're going to go somewhere. There's a helmet on a helmet, and they separate and close like heat-seeking missiles. You can't get it away from them. It's incredible.
Let's look over the last few years what has happened to the preseason #1 according to the Associated Press poll. This year or last year was Florida State, of course. Nebraska, back-to-back national champions. Florida State in '93 went wire to wire. Miami, Florida State 3 times has been the preseason #1 for Bobby Bowden. This year it was Nebraska, and right now it's the Florida Gators, #1 in the nation. Royal will punt it deep to one of 3 players, and this is McFarland from the 35, and he'll get it to the 38. Pretty good coverage by Kansas. 37-yard punt and a minimal return.
You know, Drew, I think first down is a huge down in any college football game. Kansas has averaged 2.2 yards on 5 first-down plays. Nebraska has averaged 11.8 yards on 5 first-down plays. So Kansas has found themselves out of rhythm, off schedule. Nebraska has gotten over a first down every first-down play. So it's a big difference in this game right now.
They fake the option. Now they're going to throw it. Looking down the middle toward Cheatham, and the catch is made. Kenny Cheatham with a circle grab at the 27.
Well, now you got a confident quarterback. Tom Osborne knows that Scott Frost is feeling good out there. He is throwing the football very, very well. Nice route down the football field. Cheatham runs a simple post pattern. They're in man coverage, ends up being a little crossing route, and he just runs away from his coverage guy, Jason Harris. Safety can't get there soon enough to help. Nice effort by quarterback, offensive line, receiver, all executed well.
This kid has really handled not only the pressure of playing quarterback in Nebraska, the pressure of following up Tommy Frazier. They faked a reverse, and it was actually a gift to the fullback.
They ended up giving it to the reverse.
They did give it to the reverse guy. That faked me out completely. It was Wiggins with the ball.
That's nice ball handling.
You know
right
what we
there.
need? We need the Fox tracker.
Yeah, that's right. Put a little.
I had no idea who had it.
A little prestidigitation out there by the quarterback. Little sleight of hand, little magic. And Scott Frost fakes to the fullback, gives to the wingback coming in a reverse, and Wiggins is around the corner for big yards on first down.
2nd and 5. Amon Green met in the hole by Tony Blevins, actually a couple of yards downfield. He'll be about 2 shy of a first down. 7-0 Nebraska, and that will in all probability be the final snap of chapter #1 in Lincoln. The Cornhuskers, with an 81-yard drive, have a 7-0 lead. They have won 27 in a row against the University of Kansas. Nebraska, the Cornhuskers leading the Jayhawks 7-0. Drew Goodman, Dave Lapham, Lisa Molosky, and the Huskers on the move again. They have a 3rd and about 2.5 from the plus 20-yard line. Here's the touchdown maker, Sheldon Jackson. Amon Green with room. First down and more to the 11-yard line. Ronnie Ward finally grabbed him by a jersey and brought him to the turf. They'll move the chains again for the Huskers.
Cozied up to his fullback, Makovica, very, very nicely. Showed tremendous patience. The offensive line got a surge. Makovica got in there and got his block. Green broke a tackle. Man, I tell you, Nebraska, they just keep coming at you with different offensive sets, Drew. They've got 10 different formations. They can run the option out of all 10 of them. A lot of pressure if you're a linebacker for Kansas.
Frost changing the play. Turns to Makovica and Green. The crowd helps him out. Here's Green with a blocker on the corner. He'll walk in. Touchdown. What a block by
Makovica.
Joel Makovica made it happen. Amon Green, that's a touchdown and two-hand touch.
And the key is, yeah, you're exactly right. He's untouched. The dirty work was done by the boys up front. And Makovica, the fullback, number 45. Watch him get out on the perimeter. The pitch man takes the quarterback's taken. The pitch man is out there. Watch Makovica hook. He gets tied up, sustains his block, gets outside position. No chance for Blevins. Tremendous effort. Watch him sustain this block. Ooh, almost a little hole, but he got away with it, the inside hand.
The extra point was good. 14-0. They run a clinic on offense. They really do. In terms of fundamentals, one of the things they look at, Dave, with their wide receivers, not so much how they catch the football. That's almost a bonus. Those guys are, you like to give away badges for offensive linemen. If a fullback wins an honorary Hog title, their offensive linemen are like, their wideouts are like O-linemen at times.
The best blockers in the country, and a lot of people will tell you the best blocking wide receiver, maybe in the history of the National Football League, is a guy named Irving Fryer, who played his college football here at Nebraska. And I tell you what, you have to block to play fullback and wide receiver at Nebraska. And Amon Green loves the people that do the dirty work for him. I tell you, you give Green that type of opportunity, he's going to kill you.
Amon Green been playing with turf toe the last couple of weeks. They say he's closer to 100% this week. He certainly looked that way on that run.
You know, Drew, Nebraska's had the football 3 possessions. They've already used 7 different offensive linemen. They're rotating a lot of components to that pipeline. Taylor's already played center and guard.
Pretty good boot into the wind. Isaac Bird, very dangerous from the 6. Not so dangerous there. Dropped at the 19-yard line. Coming down and covering the kick was Travis Toline. And again, we check in with Lisa Molosky.
Guys, this is what is called a black shirt. It is used during practice, and they give these to the first-team defense. These are very coveted jerseys. About 20 years ago, they started giving the black shirts to the starters on the defense. This is Jason Peters' jersey, 55. It's got marks all over it. I'll tell you what, these are so coveted, I want to make sure he gets it back because at 6'5", 285, I don't want to take him on after the game. Drew.
Van lost the ball. Nebraska has it.
Tomich.
It's Jared Tomich. You're right. A member of the black shirts.
That's right. There's 15 black shirts. All the starters on defense. If the #1 punt returner is a defensive player, he gets one. And it is a very emotional thing when the defensive players get those black shirts. And here's the reason why. Watch Tomich separate from the block. And he hits Van, strips him, recovers the football, makes the tackle, forces the fumble, recovers the fumble, all in one play. Gold star on the forehead.
And he gets bonus points for that.
Big time.
Frost goes straight back, slip screen, Holbein getting through. Holbein will score.
Wow.
Nebraska can get on you in a hurry. 2 touchdowns within a minute.
You feel like you're in the midst of a natural disaster. It's a tidal wave. It keeps coming at you. You can't get out of the way of it. You're in the midst of Jaws right now, and you run out of harpoons. The Red Sea is everywhere.
Good effort by Holbein, the senior from the state of Nebraska.
Kansas had it defended, Drew. He just ran away from everybody. They kind of over-pursued. They were there.
Chris Brown, perfect on the extra point. 21-0 Huskers.
Holbein is there. The defenders, good blocks down the field by the offensive line. Once he finds the crease, it's golden goalposts.
Popular the last couple of weeks in Nebraska, despite winning. Frost, 4 of 5 early, 103 yards, a couple of touchdowns, and the Huskers rolling already over the Jayhawks. And the last touchdown pass to the senior Holbein. Brendan doesn't get rewarded much for all of the fine blocks he makes downfield, but he did a good job when he got his mitts on the ball. Broke a tackle on a slip screen and got in the end zone. One-play drive. This is a very short kick and a fair catch called by Isaac Bird. You seldom see that on a kick, but it is perfectly legal, and Kansas will have it at the 23-yard line. Total offense. This is a contrast to a year ago. Nebraska won big over KU a year ago, but special teams played a huge role because at halftime, Dave, Kansas outgained Nebraska by about 150 yards in the first half, yet trailed 14-3.
Yeah, and actually they had more first downs and more yards offense for the whole game and lost 41-3, so kicking game became a factor in that one.
But it's been all Huskers so far. Up route, Bird's out there. Bird has it. Bird will go. 77 yards, no flags. Touchdown, Kansas.
Now they had the wind at their back. In the first quarter, Kansas going into the wind couldn't get much done. That time they matched Bird up against Brown, the true freshman, and Bird ran by him. Bird was flying. Johnner put it out there. Here's the matchup. Bird and Brown. Nothing fancy. Off the line of scrimmage, releases clean, and then just turns the Jets on. Johnner's got the wind at his back, hits him perfectly. Brown's beaten, he knows it. Bird knows he's got a touchdown. Huge play.
And the extra point is good by Jeff McCord. Maybe that'll give Kansas some life. Bird, a catch now in 18 consecutive games, and they did pick on the freshman, Dave.
Well, they wanted to get this matchup, Bird on Brown, and Bird came out the victor here, not even close. And Bird, this guy, he was all conference as a center fielder in baseball, 11th round pick by the Cardinals. He was undecided until June if he was going to come back and play football, but big play potential like that. Johnner and the coaches of Kansas are awfully glad that Bird came back. I'll tell you, the last two sport all-conference player, Nolan Cromwell. Great quarterback at Kansas as well as a track man.
Let's get more on Mr. Bird. Here's Lisa.
Well, Dave, as you mentioned, Bird was drafted in the 11th round this past spring by the St. Louis Cardinals. I talked to him before the game. He said he will go back to spring training in March. The football draft will happen while he is at spring training. He said he'll wait and see if he's lucky enough to get drafted by somebody, and then he'll have a tough decision to make, football or baseball. He said he likes baseball better, but he figures he can make a little more money in football right off the bat. Back to you guys.
I'll tell you, the other thing about this guy, averaging over 35 yards per punt return. Look at this kick with the wind at the back.
McCord kicks it halfway to Grand Island, Nebraska.
Bye-bye. Is there helium in that ball?
I mean, that thing was thumped. No chance for Damon Benning there to return it. He's also a dangerous one in the kick return game. And looks like Benning's going to stay in, play a little eye back.
You know, Drew, for the second week in a row, we've got wind. That's a huge factor. Texas A&M, Kansas State last week, you were hamstrung going into the wind, and you opened up when you had it at your back. Nebraska has got the wind in their face now. Scott Frost threw a touchdown with the wind at his back. I'll tell you, though, the wide receiver screen was into the wind. Let's see.
Damon Benning straight ahead. Ronnie Ward tackles him, pick up a 5. They have the most mundane, run-of-the-mill 5-yard gains you've ever seen.
It's almost like a rugby scrum. It's nothing pretty. You go up into there into a mass of humanity, but the red jersey humanity is always knocking the opposition humanity backwards. And they get a surge, and then the back hammers it up in there, and you go back to the huddle, and you pick up 4 or 5 yards, and that dog will hunt. You know, that's a good snap.
Listen to the size of their offensive line. 305, 310, 305, 305, and the run is 290. Benning, he'll start for a first down. The senior from Omaha. Terrific student and a fine player. Let's get our roundup of college football. The top 25 brought to you by Dr. Pepper. Arizona State, after coming from behind the last couple of weeks, they win easy. Great game between Colorado and Texas in the Big 12. And Colorado with John Hessler at the controls wins it. Baylor over Iowa State. Kansas State. Football game, it appears, with Oklahoma.
Boy, Oklahoma's woken up.
Yeah, they have under John Blake.
Yeah.
Missouri, they get a win for Larry Smith. Tech over A&M in College Station. Texas Tech and Spike Dykes, they could come out of that Southern Division yet.
They're going to make some noise. Good football team.
And Nebraska's a little bit confused with their set, and Scott Frost will call a timeout. He whispered something to Vershawn Jackson, who I think lined up on the wrong side. Right there is about as hot as you will ever see Dr. Tom Osborne. The Huskers leading 21-7. We're back to Lincoln after this. 75,000 plus the 212th consecutive sellout in Lincoln. 23rd year for that man, Tom Osborne. And we were talking to Charlie McBride yesterday, the longtime defensive coordinator here in Lincoln. He says, I've been on a headset for 20 years with Tom Osborne, and honest to goodness, I have never heard him utter a swear, not even close.
Even in the heat of battle, this is one of the finest Christian men you're ever going to run across, I'll tell you.
First down and 10 for Nebraska, two tight ends. Here's a reverse look. They fake that. Frost down the middle, has it complete. It is Jeff Lake, a third-team wideout, and that was hung out on a rope.
It really was. Into the wind. Now, Nebraska, they declined to take the football when they won the coin toss. They wanted to have the wind at their back. Look at Frost cut the wind. The way you do it is to throw a howitzer like that, tight revolution, just cut through the wind. Excellent ball right between the 8 and the 9 by Scott Frost. What execution.
Just the second catch on the season for the junior from Columbus, Nebraska. Joel Makovica breaks through. Makovica still going to the 14-yard line.
Now, Drew, he picked up about 15 yards after first contact. Yards after contact, the old yak. And I'll tell you, Makovica, there's a big-time yak right there, ran right through the tackle. When you're a fullback, it's nothing fancy. You're going to go north and south. You know you're not a moves man. He breaks clean, hit. He's just Gandhi. Runs through another tackle, about another 5 yards after second contact. This guy's a horse. He's a great blocker. He can take it north and south for you in a heartbeat.
Hey, Dave, there's always a Makovic at fullback. Remember Jeff?
Yep.
As Damon Benning gets just a couple. McGraw closed down quickly, the nose tackle. He got help from Steve Bratt. But, Joel Makovica's older brother, Jeff, has a national championship ring.
Drew, every fullback on this Nebraska roster walk on. No scholarship players when they first came to Nebraska at the fullback position. The walk-on tradition here at Nebraska is awesome. They award about 4 scholarships a year to walk-on players. Tomich, initially a walk-on, All-American defensive end. That's a heck of a story.
Give you an idea, they've dressed 120 tonight. Benning on the toss sweep, gets to the 10, and then a bunch of white shirts close it down. Ronnie Ward led the charge again, number 46, the 225-pound senior from St. Louis.
Of course, Makovica, he had his moment of fame. Now he goes back to the saw the wood. Always has to do, and that's to knock linebackers around. He ends up pushing one to the ground. That's the role the fullback plays at Nebraska. Every once in a while, he's going to dart the ball up the middle, but his major role is basically a glorified guard in the backfield.
A lot of double and triple jerseys when you dress 120, Dave.
Boy, you're not kidding. We've got rosters all over, the floor, the ceiling, everywhere.
Option look. Frost needs 6. Frost will do better. Touchdown, Huskers.
Man.
A little speed option. And Scott Frost carried it in for the score. His 5th rushing touchdown of the year.
I'll tell you, a must for Kansas. I mean, one of their goals was to make Frost beat him. Well, he certainly has. He's thrown for touchdowns. Now he's going to run for one. And there's no substitute for speed. Speed kills. That time, Scott Frost killed the Kansas defense on the perimeter with pure foot speed.
have their Huskers here in Lincoln. And Chris Brown adds the extra point. It's 28-7 with 10:47 to go in the second quarter. It's amazing. The articles we're reading all week long talking about how poor the offense is performing and what is wrong with Scott Frost. There's nothing wrong with Scott Frost, and there's nothing wrong with the Husker offense. Of course, last year they averaged 52+ points a game, and they had Tommy Frazier.
Take a look right here. Patrick Brown. Is he got the quarterback, or does he have the pitch man? I don't think he's really sure. He's got the pitch man. Who had the quarterback? Boy, the linebacker scraping just couldn't get there. Patrick Brown took the pitch, and that was the Kansas defensive goal. Eliminate the pitch man, make Scott Frost turn it up the football field and beat you. Inside linebacker scraping over the top. Scott Frost's foot speed was just too much. Could not get there. 5 yards behind. No go.
Yeah, the scrutiny of this kid, Scott Frost, has been most unfair. This kid is really a freshman in the program at Nebraska. He's a transfer from Stanford. He ran mostly scout team a year ago, sitting out his transfer year. Isaac Byrd at the 15. Straight ahead to about the 27. Nebraska takes great pride in their special teams, and they almost always win the battle of special teams. Last year, there was not a game all season that they didn't win a battle.
Well, and Coach Osborne said that it's been the constant of this year's football team. Special teams have been week in and week out the biggest constant. The last time Kansas had the ball, a one-play drive. Nebraska last year had 7 one-play drives. That's the biggest difference this year. No big play, one-play drives.
Fullback Galbraith, then he tucks it up quickly on the quick snap count and gets about 4 yards. So it'll be second down and 6. Kansas trailing by 21. Last time they had it, they had a one-play drive. 77-yard hookup Johnner to Isaac Byrd.
Boy, Isaac Byrd, I tell you, he showed some wheels, didn't he? I mean, this kid can really, really run. There's no doubt about that.
And he hit 275 in rookie ball. Toss sweep, Eric Van, who can run, but no place to run. John Hess from his middle backer spot slid over and put his pads on Mr. Van, which terminated that play.
John Hess had 11 tackles last week. 4 of them were tackles for loss. Number 44 in the red. Center can't get to him, can't take the angle. As Van tries to turn it up the football field, Hess intersects him and takes him to the turf. He blocked a kick last week. He had 11 tackles. He did everything for this Cornhusker football team. This kid's a 6'4", 250-pound middle linebacker. That's pretty unusual.
Johnner needs 6 yards, trying to break contain. He does get it away, and it is incomplete. Thought we might see a flag for grounding. Brian Shaw was the one chasing.
I'll tell you, sometimes you just run faster than you can. And that time Johnner was. I mean, he's not the most mobile athlete at the quarterback position, but Shaw was breathing down his neck. He got outside the pocket, not intentionally grounding the football. He got it down the field to an intended receiver, although not accurately enough.
Dean Royal will punt it. 3 Huskers back. They've used this alignment for a while. And this is a very good punt with the wind. Wiggins right up the middle. Chevin Wiggins will get it across midfield. Tackled by the man who punted the football, Dean Royal. Otherwise, he's still running. A punt of 51, a return of 23 by the sophomore from Palmetto, Florida, Chevin Wiggins.
Watch the block by Benning. Boom! That's a knockdown right there. Now there's a tailback throwing a block to get his return man off to the races. Royal head across the bow. He's the guy that kicked the football, and he takes him down. He's going to get dogged by his teammates here, getting tackled by the punter.
Here's another option. Frost trying to find somewhere to go, and he's not going to elude McGraw. McGraw at 280 pounds got his mitts on him and hauled him down.
Well, Kansas is doing a better job of defending the option right here. Watch the outside people. somebody, you have a predetermined who's going to take the pitch man. Outside linebacker takes the pitch man. The scraping linebacker cuts off Frost to the outside. He has to turn it back to the inside, load up the box to the outside, and make him turn it up to his teammates.
They got two. It's assignment football. Counter trade. D'Angelo Evans, the true freshman, dropped by Bratton. Evans falls forward. He's an exciting player. He packs 210 pounds on about a 5'8" frame. He's from Wichita, Kansas, so the folks in Lawrence and the folks in Manhattan disappointed he got out of state.
You're not kidding. He's averaging over 8 yards a carry on the season. Boyd Epley, the director of athletic performance in that weight room, says that D'Angelo Evans can already squat 525 pounds, 5 reps. That's unbelievable.
That is extraordinary. 3rd down and 3. Strong right formation. They run right. Evans trying to cut it back. And he hops ahead for the 1st down. He did that all on his own. He picked a spot, went up in the air, and got 4.
Well, he tried to be a little Edwin Moses there with shoulder pads. Hurdle, and then you get kissed. But boom. Sometimes you lose your feet, and you lose all your thrust, all your power, and you get abused in midair. Boy, you're lucky not an injury right there. Brett McGraw had people falling on the back of his legs. Now, he's a cowboy. He works in the rodeo. He's a roper. So that time, I mean, he had a bunch of cattle around him that time.
13 1st downs already for the Huskers. Frost.
Yep.
Tight end. Jackson. Inside the 15 of the 13. Vershawn's 2nd reception of the game. Scott Frost playing with great confidence.
Excellent scheme. I mean, a misdirection, play action fake. Frost is on the perimeter by himself. The Kansas linebackers are running around like a fire drill at Madison Square Garden. They don't, know where to really turn. Boy, there's all kinds of room to throw the football between the linebackers and secondary. Safety Blevins is the first one to make contact. Well conceived, well executed.
Frost 6 of 7, 158 yards. Makovic on the give. Not a whole lot.
Man, I'll tell you, Nebraska throwing the football tonight into the wind with the wind at their back. And mostly it's been the short intermediate routes, getting the ball to the tight end. But Frost throws a very tight spiral, Drew. I mean, and he's got some arm strength. They say he can throw the football between 75 and 80 yards. I mean, this kid has got a howitzer hanging off that right shoulder, and he's cutting the wind tonight. He really is.
And he's a 4.5 guy in the 40.
And he's a great student. I wonder if he ever had a pimple or anything.
Waggle action. And that one could have been intercepted, but Blevins wasn't looking, and now flags come in. Might be in the area of defensive holding or interference on Vershawn Jackson.
Yeah, somebody was riding him before the arrival of the football. He got a hand on it to deflect it, but I don't think Blevins ever saw the ball. He was playing the receiver. He was going up to make a hit, detonate the receiver a little bit with dynamite caps in his shoulder pads, and they're going to call the interference, though, before the tip of the football.
There's Blevins in the left of your screen.
Jackson's the intended receiver. There's a little bit of contact in Jackson in his arm before the ball's arrival. He tips it away, but the pass interference occurs before the tip.
(28-7). The Huskers leading the Jayhawks with 6:27 to go in the 2nd quarter. Drew Goodman, Dave Lapham, Lisa Molosky. Rare night game here in Lincoln, but in the future we might see more night games because they're going to put in permanent lights and a whole slew of skyboxes.
I'll tell you, there are some stars in the night here. I'll tell you, offensively they're executing.
Makovic, the fullback, will get it to the 5-yard line. Again, Blevins has to come up from his strong safety spot.
I'll tell you what, the pipeline is being retooled on a series by series basis. I mean, you've got a nice situation here, though, Drew, because you're involving 7 or 8 guys up front. If you have an injury, it really is easy to replace the interchangeable drill bit, the tool parts. And these guys are operating very well up front and keeping themselves fresher by playing more people.
Actually at the 10-yard line, not the 5. Frost Again, all kinds of time. Will tuck it down.
Wow.
And he almost squeezed through. He got it to the 5. Ronnie Ward grabbed an ankle and held on. It'll set up a 3rd down and about 3.
Now, I'll tell you, Scott Frost is making quick decisions tonight. Once he makes his decision, he is going with it. No tentativeness. Early in the season, they thought his eyes were a little bit like deer in the headlights, but not tonight, boy. He's making the decision, nowhere to go with the ball. Tuck it and make a play out of it. Make something happen when it breaks down. He's doing it well.
Power eye, D'Angelo Evans, 2nd effort, 1st down, Nebraska. He was hit at the 5-yard line and pirouetted ahead for the 1st down.
Well, we talked about him squatting 525 pounds, multiple reps. That's leg drive. Look at the big boys up front, surge a little bit. And then Evans, with those powerful legs, keeps him churning. He is not going to quit on any snap. He's smelling the goal line. And watch the fullback again. He's the key. He gets his lead block at the linebacker level on Bratton, sustains it, bends his back, and D'Angelo Evans can twist it to the inside.
Pretty good contact in there. Evans will scoot in untouched. 5th touchdown of the night for the Huskers.
And it's simple, nothing fancy. It's just the isolation play. You get inside the 10-yard line. You say to your fullback, I want you to knock the linebacker out of the hole. What does he do? Knocks the linebacker out of the hole. Evans has already crossed the goal line before Ward can make a play. Ward's 4 yards in the end zone before he collisions D'Angelo Evans because Makovica gets a helmet right between his sternum.
Chris Brown, another extra point. And he pumps it through. Joel Makovica isn't even the starter. Brian Schuster's the starter.
I love blocking fullbacks.
Yeah, Brian Schuster's banged up a little bit. Just throw another one out there.
Our Southwest Airlines storyline. Nebraska heading into this game looking for a little more from their offense, and boy, have they produced. Nebraska has scored on their last 5 possessions, but the defense strong as ever. Rushing defense allowing tonight -1 yard a carry. Back to you guys.
It's amazing what they've done so far. Eric Van trying to make something happen for Kansas. A good return out to the 36-yard line. Spilled by Jeff Wells.
Roots in the game here at Nebraska. He started his career here at Nebraska. He's got 2 torn ACLs, Drew. He tore the right one here at Nebraska, the left one at Kansas. He's got no anterior cruciate ligaments in either knee. And this is interesting because, as you mentioned, you got a young man, Stiebel, who started his career at Nebraska at center, and Roots at quarterback. You got a former Nebraska battery here exchanging the ball.
Roots will put it up immediately. This is Hosea Friday cutting back, and he works hard for about 6 yards. Dropped by Jay Foreman, inside linebacker who plays behind John Hess. Foreman's a sophomore from Eden Prairie, Minnesota, and he's got a famous daddy.
I tell you, pretty good running back.
Chuck Foreman, his dad.
Foreman, Minnesota Vikings, University of Miami in college, Miami, Florida. He could play the game. He was smooth.
Well, you talked about Tony Galbraith, the uncle of Eric Galbraith. He was a great receiver. Chuck Foreman was a great receiver also.
Absolutely.
Roots, a screen, and a pretty good pickup there for Sanders. Should be enough for a 1st down out close to midfield. Grant Wistrom made the tackle. Also Jason Wilkes. 35-7 with 3:49 to go. One of the great things about Wistrom, Dave, is his motor.
Well, they never quit. I mean, they pursue the football, and the offensive linemen getting good blocks down the football field. In fact, they're taking secondary people off the field to the sidelines. They're eliminating them as defenders, and Wistrom realizing that, pursuing inside out, staying after the play.
1st and 10 for Kansas. Roots out of the gun. Another good throw to Hosea Friday. The tackle made by Jamel Williams, the outside backer.
Tomich slow to get up. Tomich is limping a little bit as he works his way off the football field. The definite hitch in the get along right there. He came out of Indiana as a walk-on. Purdue didn't want to take him into their program. Take a look at the catch by Hosea Friday. Runs a little route. Excellent reception of the football, but Roots had some mustard on that one. You know, they thought Roots was a pretty good quarterback. Drew threw on the run exceptionally well, moved his team very well when he's here at Nebraska.
Fullback give, it's Sanders, and he'll plow ahead for a couple, very close to a first down. Scott Saltzman will get up last. Number 74 in red.
Glenn Mason knew he had a tiger by the tail tonight. You know what? With the adversity, June Henley's suspension, he made a quick decision on that. And you know, the young man made a mistake. There's no doubt about that. But the three things that Coach Mason talks about is commitment, trust, and belief. And the biggest problem he had with June Henley, over drinking on a Wednesday evening till early Thursday morning, is not a commitment to helping his football team beat Nebraska.
Shuttle pass. Eric Van makes a couple of people miss, but not enough as he got just a couple. Jay Foreman, Jason Wiltz in there. It'll be 2nd down and 7. Actually, this is the best movement by Kansas in the football game, other than the obvious, the one-play drive, the pass up top to Isaac Bird that went 77 yards for a touchdown. And Roots on this drive is 4 of 4. And actually, there's only been one incompletion thrown by Kansas. Johnner was 6 of 7. Ball's carried by Eric Van. He runs into Grant Wistrom. 6'5" and 250 pounds. He was a high school All-American from Webb City, Missouri. And he was a third-team All-American last year. And Tomich, who was on the sideline up and walking, there he is, was a first-team All-American. What a pair of defensive ends.
Boy, I'll tell you, you can see that Tomich has built that body up in the weight room. Man, that's a strong, powerful-looking kid right there.
They need the 32-yard line. Roots throwing, too hot for Van, closing quickly, Mike Minter.
Well, Nebraska came with 6. They came with a blitz. They decided to heat Roots up. Little side adjust. Receiver and quarterback on the same page. You see the linebackers blitzing. They run the slant. Roots just can't hook up. He knows as soon as he releases the football, it's not quite accurate enough. Kansas going for it on 4th down here, Drew.
Well, they're down by 4 touchdowns. There's 1:20 to go before the end of the 2nd quarter. And they're in that gray area, the plus 38-yard line.
They've done well on 4th down. 10 of 18, 5 touchdowns.
Swing it out, and it's too high for Sanders, and they'll turn it over on downs. And had they hooked up with Sanders, I believe he would have had enough room to get the first down.
Now, Ryan Twilliger, he came on the blitz the last play. This time, let's take a look at him. He's in a position to blitz, and he comes again. But he drops off. He realizes that his back, who was supposed to pick him up as a blocker, released in the route. So he decides, hey, I can't just let him run out there into space. Mark Sanders, I got to change my direction, reroute myself, and get out there. And because he did that, Roots overthrew the football.
Not only that, he's 6'5", so Roots had to get it up in the air to get it over to Williger.
Get it over the Sequoia.
So the minute 15 to go. Scott Frost goes to the air. Ball's in the air on the tip as Wiggins couldn't hold on. And fortunately for Nebraska, it fell harmlessly to the turf, and it took only 3 seconds. 35-7 Huskers.
Now, the thing is, you think, okay, you throw on 1st down, it's incomplete. Now you're married to the passing game. Not necessarily if you're Nebraska and you run the option as well as you run it, and you run your power running game, but here they are in the shotgun. So this is their drop-back passing game. They're going to throw the football.
Double twin formation. Frost to Wiggins, same play. They'll have a 1st down. 13-yard pickup. Blevins and Bratton brought him down. And no huddle as Nebraska quickly to the line of scrimmage.
2-minute drill. Here we go. Another opportunity for Scott Frost to grow as a quarterback.
Saw Chevin Wiggins signaling the play to Kenny Cheatham on the outside. He grabbed his neck, and I guarantee you that was some sort of play signal.
Absolutely. It was a pre-snap read, and he wanted to convey to his receiver, make sure they were on the same page. Tommy Frazier, in our conversation with him yesterday, Drew, he mentioned that once he understood this offense, he audibilized 60% of the time at the line of scrimmage. Very sophisticated offense Tom Osborne has established here at Nebraska. Puts a lot of pressure on the quarterback to make great decisions, getting out of a bad play into a good one. as well as in the option and throwing the football. And that young man, Tommy Frazier, a tremendous football intelligence.
Here's the pass to Amon Green, the shuttle pass, and Amon has it inside the 40-yard line. Another first down for Nebraska.
Great call, because once again, if it's not executed, it's not a fumble, it's a forward pass.
They have it at the 37, 59 seconds left. They crank up the clock again. Nebraska doing a very good job. Blitz coming down the middle. The tight end is, or excuse me, it's John Vedral, not the tight end. It's a split end. Vedral, his first catch of the ball game, 10th on the year.
There's the signal again to his wideouts. 2 hands up by the throat. That's you wonder if it's a crossing pattern. I guess that's a signal to stop the clock. That's kill. That must be the kill signal.
Right,
I'm going to ground the ball, stop the clock. That's what he did before he stopped the clock the last time. So, no, nothing real, I guess, espionage to figure out about that one. But this, I'll tell you what, Scott Frost is throwing the football tonight probably as well as he has all season long. And, you know, once you get to the midway point of the season with a young quarterback, the light starts to go on a little bit. This kid, he'd not played much quarterback. He was at Stanford. He was a safety. Tom Osborne, you know, would like to have a guy redshirt before they throw him in there.
Frost throwing. It's complete to Wiggins, out of bounds at the 15, which will stop the clock and pick up the first down. And Nebraska doing this without any timeouts. And for a guy, again, not to belabor this point, but for a guy that does not have a lot of experience in the offense and has been much maligned, he's running it like he's a 5th-year senior.
He really is. And Drew, the reason Tom Osborne was so upset with Rashawn Jackson earlier, they had to burn a timeout because he didn't know where to line up in a formation, and now it's a little costly.
Blitz coming. Frost, Holbein, same play we saw a few moments ago.
Same result.
Touchdown.
Wow.
That was exceptionally well done in the 2-minute drill for Nebraska. With no timeouts, Scott Frost and that offense executed a perfect drive.
I'll tell you what. He has thrown for 3, Scott Frost, and he's run for 1. Tom Osborne with a little pat in the back. Amazing execution of the 2-minute drill.
Chris Brown again. Perfect snap, perfect hold, and the same with the kick.
Holbein right here. You see some offensive linemen come out, get into the action on the screen. The 2 inside receivers will clear out, run a little crossing route, then start to block. Adam True gets his block out in the perimeter. He's gone for the touchdown. Frost knows it. Holbein, wide receiver screen number 2, touchdown number 2. Excited young quarterback.
And he should be. 11 of 15, 220 yards in the air, and a career-high 3 touchdowns. Wood River celebrating tonight. If there's anybody at home in Wood River, I think they're all here in Lincoln.
It could be.
42-7. You know, there's a term in baseball, Dave. A pitcher can give you the comfortable collar, and they talk about a guy going 0 for 4, yet he feels like, I was in the ball game, and I thought I had good looks. That's what Nebraska can do. They can put a comfortable 42 on you.
Really. I mean, you don't realize how efficient they have been offensively until you look at the scoreboard. 42 points. Not many of his passes have hit the turf tonight. He has been on the money.
Brown. Well, he gets into this one. Into the wind, and he still kicks it through the end zone. So Chris Brown's all jacked up.
You know what, Drew? The wind was supposed to shift from southwest to northwest. I wonder if it shifted here. They said as the game went along, the wind was going to change direction. The way that kick went, you almost wonder if he's kicking into the wind anymore.
It's swirling, and it's kind of faded a little bit right now. World Series Game 6 at Yankee Stadium. 2nd inning, no score between the Yankees and the Atlanta Braves. And of course, this is the Braves night. Nobody can win at home.
I know. Nobody has won at their respective home ground. That's amazing. What a series. Yankees, great comeback.
Roots, the quarterback, 20 seconds left. He gives to Galbraith, who tumbles into Jason Peter. Peter, 285 pounds. He's a junior from Locust, New Jersey. And that will be the final play of the first half.
Look at that club, boy. He's the real deal. He's going to play football no matter what.
They thought he'd be out 2 or 3 weeks. He says, no, I'm not going to miss a practice. And he didn't.
Look at that club.
42-7. Nebraska impenetrable on defense, and their offensive execution near flawless. They score on 6 consecutive possessions, and we go down to Lisa Milosky with probably a content Tom Osborne. Lisa.
Coach, you entered this game looking for a little better production from your offense, and boy, you certainly got it in the first half.
Yeah, we've played a lot better. I think Scott Frost has thrown the ball very well. Of course, we haven't turned it over offensively. I think we had 1 on defense or on the kicking game. So we've been pleased with the way we played. We gave up the big pass play, but just had a guy locked up with a good player, man-to-man, and got beat.
So far, so good, though. Thanks for stopping. Have a good second half.
Okay, thanks.
Back to you guys.
Always calm and in control. Dr. Tom Osborne. You'd never know. They led by 35 points. 42-7. Huskers at home. Let's go to our LA studios and Randy Sparagi.